Hello everybody. Today I'm bringing you another layout that features the Simple Stories Hello Fall collection. I said in my last video that I didn't intend this, but I made a series of 3 videos using this collection. And that's just because when I pulled it out to make the first one, I got so many ideas for the other ones. So in this particular case, I've chosen a very busy background, and I'm trying to figure out how to put the photos on there but still be able to feature a lot of the background. So what I decided to do is I'm matting the photos on this piece of orange dot paper from Hello Fall. It's called Sweater Weather, and that will put a nice frame around the photos to separate them off the background. I also, on this particular mat, have a little cut apart card that is a 4x4 card, and that came from the 4x4 and 4x6 vertical journaling elements cut apart sheet. What I did there is I took my Tim Holtz vintage photo distress ink, and I'm inking edges to help also pop those papers off. What I'm showing you there is when I looked at the collection, I selected a bunch of things that were like coffee or drink themed here because I have a photo of my first, in my case, I don't have a Starbucks close by to me, so my local coffee shop makes a pumpkin pie latte, which basically tastes pretty darn close to pumpkin spice. But anyway, so there's that cup journaling card. I've got a cup die cut. I have some word and phrase strips that have to do with pumpkin spice or drinks and that kind of stuff. So I'll show you that eventually. So what I'm doing now is I'm again inking up the edges of this blue grid paper that's harvest season from the collection, and I'm going to put it on the background paper. The name of that background paper with all the hexagons on it is Warm and Cozy, and I'm so glad that I got to use a large piece of that in the background. Now what I did is I'm not intending to use that whole sheet of the orange paper the way it is, but I'm going to use, so I cut a little bit off, and what I want to do there, I tapped it because I want to use that for my title. Now obviously I got very brave because I cut that off before I knew what letters I was going to use for my title, which as I'm watching this now was probably not the smartest decision, but in the end it worked out. I also, on the upper left there, pulled some wood veneers from Ellie's Studio that are autumn and fall themed. I'm not going to end up using those. And I apologize, I pulled my mat back and didn't realize it, so you're not seeing the bottom of the layout, but really there's nothing going on the bottom of the layout with this particular one. So I'm looking through my thickers because I tried some sassafras last and they didn't work, and I am pulling out a very old alphabet here. It's some of the vinyl thickers, and for those of you who have been scrapbooking a long time, you'll know that these thickers are a pain in the neck because they didn't stick. You would put them on and they would come right off. So I'm going to put them on a sheet of wax paper to just position them now, and then I'll put them down onto my layout. What you don't see is when I'm all done and I shut the camera off, I go back and I actually use my Scotch Quick Dry adhesive, and I just pick up the letter a little bit. I don't take it totally off the background, and then just put the Scotch Quick Dry underneath, and then they are stuck completely down. And I'm looking at the layout right now as I'm doing the voiceover for this, and they're stuck. There's no problem with them coming off or anything like that. So the title of my layout is going to be "'Tis the Season," because 'tis the season for pumpkin spice lattes, and that's just fall to me. So I'm going to get a little apostrophe in there for "'tis." And I think I didn't put the period down for the I until after I was all done. I noticed I didn't have it, I think, when I went back and was gluing everything down. So have no fear, it gets on there before it'll be on there in the photographs that you'll see at the end of this. I love using wax paper to position everything because it just makes it so easy to move those titles around, and a lot of times if I don't do it, I regret it. I'm kind of a perfectionist about getting my titles down evenly. The people who can do it without using the wax paper just amaze me. Sarah Swan comes to mind. She's amazing. She just pops those titles down. They look great, and she doesn't use wax paper. So yay, Sarah. The name of this font, before I forget it, is Daiquiri, and it didn't have a color. It's just the brown vinyl thickers, and I believe they also came in black. I'm pretty sure I have black ones as well. These are some of my earliest thicker purchases, as you can see, I didn't like using them because there's a whole lot of thickers just sitting on there. I think part of it was they were started to peel up off the background, and I was worried that they wouldn't stick on my layouts. But now that I have the Sketch Quick Dry, I have to remember to use them more often because they won't come up if I use that. And it's a nice font. I love that Daiquiri font. I always have. All right, so now I have the title down, and I wanted to do that because that was going to help me figure out this cluster on the side here where that was going to go. And then I'm also placing things, I'm looking at that wood veneer. The wood veneer is too light for this layout, though. It just stands out too much, so I'm going to abandon that pretty quickly. I chose a couple of die cuts there, the I Love Autumn die cut and the coffee cup die cut, and those are from the bits and pieces from Hello Fall. I'm also kind of looking at what to do on top there. I have a little circle that says autumn, and I'm going to change that, or not change that top element out. I'm going to move everything, but I have a little sticker there that came from the combo cardstock sticker sheets, and that's a mug there. I have a, let's see, I'm putting a sticker in there that says, "Hey there, pumpkin," because I'm not quite sure when else I would use that particular one. On the bottom, the sticker in the I Love Autumn there says pumpkin spice. And I'm thinking about using a brad there from the self-adhesive brads, but I'm going to change out which one it is. I also, at the top above the journaling card cup, have a die cut that says Happy Pumpkin Spice Season. So a lot of these elements needed to get on this layout because it'll be a year before I would use them again. And that the little brad is a pumpkin there on the left cluster, but that, like I said, that's going to move. And then the last sticker that I have in the bottom left side there says "Get your pumpkin on." And I've gone through and I've inked everything. Looking at brads again here to maybe add something in, and I like that green one there because it brings some green up into the top of that layout. I'm just using the clear piece there to try to decide where I want to put that, and I'll fool around with that a little bit more. Thinking about maybe putting the green brad down there, and what I end up doing is I take the pumpkin brad and I just add that to the pumpkin spice die cut there. And I like the way that looks. It gives that a little bit more dimension there. Okay, inking everything up with that vintage photo distress ink again. And I didn't pop that up because I'm going to get dimension in there by popping the cup up on my foam tape instead. That, and I'll add a brad and some enamel dots before I'm done. It's such a busy paper in the background, but by lowering the whole photo mat block down onto that blue paper, it really helps pop it off because your eye kind of puts the edges in. It guesses where the edges are without having to look too hard, I guess. You have a nice blue, quote, white space to rest your eyes in too. And now I'm just adding I just added the foam tape to the back of the Happy Pumpkin Spice Season die cut there, that little label. Now I know I have all these stickers to work with, so I'm trying to figure out how, what's going to look good there. Those, again, say pumpkin spice and get your pumpkin on. I'm going to ink them a little bit. Now they're shiny, so I probably should have used my Stays On brown there, but I'm becoming less and less of a crazy perfectionist about that, and if some of it wears off, some of it wears off. It's just really to kind of take some of the white edges off stickers and things like that. Okay, so I'm looking at brads. I'm going to take that little leaf brad there and put that there. I like how it gets the yellow in on that side of the layout. And I'll bring some green and a little bit more yellow in with some enamel dots there. And it's fall, so using a fall or autumn, using a brad with a leaf on it is perfectly appropriate. So at first I thought what I was going to do was I would bring that autumn circular die cut off the page a little bit, but when I started working with these pieces, I decided I'm going to actually drop it down, and I'm kind of working with the pieces kind of already glued together, which it's easier to work with them kind of as one unit. And I'm just inking that. And again, I'm just going to drop it just a little bit below so that cluster is there. And you can see the cluster pretty well, even though the background is pretty busy there. Because that often would be a concern, but it's fine. And inking my little mug. I'm just so happy that I noticed that all those stickers were on the sticker sheet, and then like I said, I just pulled them off, put them on the wax paper, and said I need to use all these. There was one sticker that I didn't use. I can't remember what it said, and I can't actually read it on my screen here, but the one that I didn't use is actually much more neutral than the pumpkin spice. Lots of pumpkin sayings on this one. All right, so I have everything down, glued down, and it's time to think about some finishing touches here. And those finishing touches will be enamel dots. All right. Oh, and I actually need to do a little bit of journaling. I'm going to journal right on that card there. And I just talk about how there's no Starbucks in my area, so I go to a place called Barris Brothers Coffee for their pumpkin pie latte. And it's actually no sacrifice because it is quite delicious. And that's my American Crafts journaling pen. I use a 0.05. All right, I forgot about this. I put the enamel dots on after I was all done. So there's the still shot and a couple of detail shots. Hope you are all well. We'll talk to you soon again. Bye.